And let's hear it again for Stephanie Ann Johnson. Thank you. So this year, our theme for the whole year is called the Transformational Journey. And I believe that all of us are on a transformational journey for good. So are you ready to step into this? Yes? So imagine what your life would be like if it was transformed for the good by, and completed maybe next year at this time. Imagine your life transformed for the good in your finances, right? That you have abundance and prosperity and generosity, and not only for yourself, but for the community, for the world. Imagine being transformed in mind, body, and spirit, where your body is operating at its peak physical expression. Can you claim that kind of transformation into your body? And what about a transformation in all of your relationships? A transformation in your purpose, your career. And imagine that as we move and enter into this transformational journey, that's not just for ourselves, but it's for the transformation of the world for good. And we're right at the beginning of this transformation. So Friday, I believe, was the Chinese New Year, and this is the year of the rooster. So when I looked it up, the rooster year is be ready to take action and be alert. So you guys alert? So, you can almost hear the rooster crowing, right? It's time, everybody. Okay. So when I think of the beginning, we have to go to Genesis, right? We have to go to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, where we read, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light." So the light is obviously an idea, because this is how we co-create the world into manifestation, is through our ideas. But before there is an idea, perhaps there is darkness, perhaps there is depression, perhaps there is confusion and a loss about what to do next. But then there is movement. What is it? It's a stirring that the Spirit of God was hovering above the waters, above the emotions. There's movement. There's the Holy Spirit, the Shekinah, the prana, the force that then awakens us and says, "Let there be light." And so we co-create the world through our thoughts and our words, as Aaron sang for us, and we all sang together in the wonderful song about the 5 powers, the 5 principles and the 12 powers. So last week I talked about how we, over the years, have done different themes, and we're kind of building on those. So we have studied the 12 powers. We have studied world religions and the archetypes, dreaming a new world for ourselves, being in community and the hero's journey. So the truth is we already have all the tools that we need to transform, because we have done our inner work. So today I want to reach back into the 12 powers, and I want to pull out 2 of them to focus on today. And that is imagination and faith. Because when we combine imagination and faith, an idea multiplies. It just takes off. Now in Hebrews 1:11, we read that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So it's like it's there, but you don't know how it's going to get there, right? I mean, think of those times in your life when you've had faith, right? It's just like this inner knowing. And it's in a way beyond speech of how we know that something is coming our way. Now, the thing with faith is that if you don't feel like you have it, so you have a dream and you have this goal, but you're kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I'll get it or not, that's where the imagination kicks in, and where the imagination is helpful, because the imagination can help kickstart it, right? Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. And a couple weeks ago, I shared with you that I was with Jean Houston, and when she was in high school, he actually came and spoke to their high school class. I mean, who gets that, right? And one of the kids asked, so to Einstein, what is the most important thing that there is to know? And he said, you know, imagination is the most important thing, and the way you feed that imagination is read fairy tales. Because fairy tales take you to all these different worlds, and it feeds the imagination. And then after that, someone else raised their hand and said, but what else can we do? And he said, read more fairy tales. Really, open up that mind. So we combine faith with imagination, and the idea simply grows and takes root. Now, Jesus said that if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, then you can say to this mountain, move, and it will move. We know that a mustard seed is tiny, yet it grows into a great bush. And all we have to do is start with a tiny bit of faith. So what are some of the mountains that you have moved in your life in the past? And a mountain doesn't have to be a problem. I mean, although it can be. A mountain can be a big project or a big dream that you said yes to, and then you have this mountain in front of you, and you're like, okay, now what am I going to do with this? And Jesus said, if you have faith, say move, and it will move. I mean, there have been times when we've had problems or an idea, right? And you don't know how you're going to bring it to fruition, but you did, didn't you? So what is the current mountain that is in front of you? Do you have one? And can you say to this mountain, move, and believe that it's possible that it can move? And maybe you don't know right now, because maybe there is only darkness, right? There's confusion, there's depression, there's I don't know, but then the stirring starts, especially in the silence. There's the stirring, there's the prana, there's the Shekinah, there's the Holy Spirit, and then there is light. There is the idea. So faith combined with imagination is powerful. And this is not anything new. This is not a secret. This has been known, particularly since the New Thought movement came into being about 100 years ago. In the book, The Intention Experiment by Lynn McTaggart, she shares a story about Muhammad Ali and how he used the power of imagination in his fights. She said the most important work was being done not in the ring, but in his armchair. He was fighting the fight in his head. Here's one of the, you know how he's famous for the many rhymes that he told, right? So here's one of his rhymes. Archie Moore is sure to hug the floor by the end of 4. Now Clay swings with a right. What a beautiful swing, and the punch knocks the bear clear out of the ring. Before a fight, Ali repeated these little rhymes like mantras to the press, to his opponents, and even in the ring until he himself accepted them as fact. Yeah? The power of the imagination. Besides these verbalized intentions, Ali carried out mental intentions by rehearsing every moment of the fight in his head. He felt the fatigue in his legs, the sweat pouring off his body, the pain in his kidney, the bruises on his face, the flash of the photographers, the exultant screams of the crowd, even the moment when the referee lifts his arm in victory against Frazier. He sent an intention to his body to win, and his body responded by following orders. Yeah? You've heard this. You know this, right? Vivekananda said it also. He said it this way: take up one idea. Make that one idea your life. Think of it, dream it, live on that idea. Let the brain, muscles, nerves, every part of your body be full of that idea, and just leave every other idea alone. This is the way to success. That is this is the way great spiritual giants are produced. The imagination is very powerful. And what Lynn McTaggart says is that when we When we develop the imagination and when we enter into the imaginal realm, it's as if we become magnets. And yes, we need to put feet on our prayers and action on it, but in some levels we become magnetized in a sense where we begin to draw circumstances and we begin to draw people to us and events to us that can help us manifest the dream. Now, we also know that the imagination can be used in the other direction, right? For creating horrible scenarios in one's life. Jesus also spoke to this when he said, be not anxious. Who can add a cubit to his life by being anxious? So use it for the good. So it takes imagination and faith to manifest big dreams. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, we're reviewing our roots here, we're touching into our origins. They had a big dream for the unity movement. They actually just were passionate about prayer and about healing and about God, and it turned into this great unity movement. The founders of this church had great imagination and faith. In fact, I want to share with you an article, a piece from an article that was written in the newspaper about the first service that was held in this building. Just, you can feel it. Joyous strains of the hymn filled the sanctuary, spilled out into the spacious foyer, and were wafted out into the street. What a fellowship, what a fellowship. You know that song, what a fellowship, da, 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 da. Yep. What a fellowship. The capacity congregation sang with fervor at yesterday's opening services of the Unity Church of Truth at 208th Avenue North, and they had to mention that the building cost $680,000. That's a lot of money back in 1959, we're talking, right? Everyone was rejoicing, and well they might, for their beautiful and functional house of worship is the realization of a dream they refused to abandon during the 12 years that services were conducted in the Eagles Temple. So you get this feeling of the beginning, of the faith and the imagination that was held by the community here who brought this into being, that brought this into manifestation. And we are so grateful for them in their dream, in bringing it to us. I lost my notes. So the imagination is powerful and needed. And Dr. Mae Jemison said that we shouldn't be limited by other people's imagination either. So what other people might think of you. She is the first African-American astronaut to go into space in 1992. And when she was a kid, she loved Star Trek. And she would watch Star Trek, and it would feed her imagination that she knew she was going to go into space. And when she was a kid, she had all these dreams of being a scientist, and someone said to her, well, you could be a nurse. And she said, well, why can't I be a doctor? And so as a result, she is a scientist, she is a doctor, and she's a dancer. And one of her goals that she has wanted to bring into the world is science and the arts. Arts being dancing and singing. And she was talking about, because she grew up in the 60s, and she said, there was another benefit to the Cold War that isn't as obvious. She said the 60s and 70s, when we emerged as this is when we emerged as world leaders, because we were in competition with communism and fascism. And she said, and so we had to prove that we were better, right? Not just militarily, but she said we were also in social competition and political competition as well. And so it allowed us to look at space as one of those platforms to prove our social system was better. And that this bringing together, she was saying that the iPhones, the computers, the internet, all these things that we have are a combination of bringing this, and that we need to continue continue down that path because funding for it is becoming less and less. So the truth is, each one of us has the tools that we need to transform. So whatever is your heart's desire, whatever you envision can happen. However, we need to practice developing our imagination. So I'd like to just take a moment and just do a little exercise for you to exercise the muscles of your imagination. One of the things that Jean Houston was saying to us is you need to bring in all the senses, just like Muhammad Ali did, right? When Muhammad Ali was getting ready for a fight, he felt the sweat, he heard the crowd, he saw the photographers, he felt the pain, he felt the joy. He brought in all of his senses. So just for a moment, if you would, just release what you have and close your eyes for a minute. And we're going to just use the imagination. And we're going to begin with the sense of taste. Chew an apple in your mind. Feel the crunch, the juices bursting between your teeth. Now have a salad of wild greens that bites back with lemon and almond oil. Touch. Feel the long bony nose of a horse. Plunge both of your hands into a bowl of potato chips and break as many as you can. Put another hand into a bowl of ice water. Climb a tree and feel the rough, warm bark. Smell. Smell the ocean breeze. Breathe it in. Smell a rose garden. Smell frying garlic. Sight. See a sunrise. See a beloved friend's face. See a group of medieval nuns walking 2 by 2 through herb gardens. Hearing. Hear the pounding of the waves on the beach. Hear the tapping of high heels on the floor. Hear the birds waking up at dawn. And then you can open your eyes. So were you able to taste and touch and feel and hear some of these things? This is the world that is available to us. All we have to do is close our eyes and move into our imaginations. So the truth is that we are now at another beginning. We're at the beginning of this year and the beginning of this transformational journey, but we're also at another beginning. This facility no longer serves us, and although we love this space, it's time that we transform it. It met the needs of the community, and it fit how people worshiped, but the times, as she sang earlier, they are a-changing. And as we began to look a few years ago as to what we should do, there was darkness, there was confusion, there was unsureness, there was like, we don't know. And then there was a stirring. We had meetings, a lot of community meetings. What do we do? Do we do nothing? Just stay as things are, even though we have a leaky roof maybe and a heating system that's about to go out? Do we do a big fundraiser and remodel the facility? Do we sell it and do we move? Or do we sell it and sell part of it and redevelop? And through the community and coming together, an idea was formed. And the idea that was formed is to transform this space by using the money that we will receive from selling part of the property. I think it is time that we transform this space, because when I look into the future and I look at what is worship going to be like, this served us, since 1959, and this platform served us. But I think as we move into the future with worship, I think we're going to need to use our bodies more, don't you think? Wouldn't it be nice just to get rid of the pews and go, okay, Maybe not. Maybe you're like, no, I like it like this. But it feels to me like the engagement of the body, whether it be through yoga or other worship, needs to be part of the whole worship process. So we just need to begin to dream big and think differently. And this is a mountain that is in front of us right now because it's a big dream. It's a big goal to transform this space. And yet, together, with faith, with imagination, we can do it. So we have all the faith and imagination in the world, but there's one more power that I think we need in order to manifest things, and that is strength, right? Because you can have the best ideas in the world and faith, and yes, things come to us, but it takes strength to see something through. Remember that Murray said that when you're committed, that things begin to move and things begin to change. The moment that one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too, and all sorts of things occur to help one that would never have otherwise occurred. A whole stream of events issues from that decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. So when we agreed to go down this road, all sorts of people showed up. Tom Curran, who just happens to understand this whole process. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've never built a building before. This is a training ground for me. But Tom Curran stepped up. Faith Ireland with her legal knowledge, the SUV team, the change team, Louise, Scott, Dee Dee, everyone has started to show up in ways once we were committed to moving forward, and it's been somewhat magical and will continue to be. We're together by divine appointment. So besides our own building and things that we're doing here, we all recognize that we're living in challenging times. Einstein said that no problem can be solved from the same consciousness that created it. And we are being shaken up and shaken out of our way of thinking. And if we are to survive and thrive, then we must use our imaginations, we must use our faith, and we must use our strength. So we know how to exercise the imagination that helps to feed the faith. We have the strength to see things through. So this is the beginning of our transformational journey. And there may be times when you feel like you're in darkness and you're like, hey, I don't know what to do here. I'm confused. But resting in the stillness, knowing that there is a stirring upon the waters, that there is the Holy Spirit, that there is the Shekinah, that there is the prana, that there is the force. And you can say to whatever mountain is in front of you, move, and it will move. An idea that is newly formed in your mind with faith and imagination can only grow and help us to step on this journey of our transformation for good. So, happy journeying.